Hello and welcome to the very first Wednesday Lunch Live. I'm Helen, and if you don't know me, I am a transformational coach and I work with people who want to have big change in their lives, but they're burnt out, stressed or overwhelmed. And so they're coming at the choices in their life from a place of necessity or lack or just trying to cope. So what I ask them to do with me is take a step back, work on their mindset, their routines and their habits so that they feel much more physically and mentally strong and they can make much more empowered choices for their future. So today's talk is part of the Employee to Entrepreneur series. And what I wanted to do with this series is to debunk some of the myths about being an entrepreneur and that you were born that way or it's part of your DNA and it's something that people can either do or you can't do. And so what I'm going to do over the next few weeks, I'm bringing in real people, real entrepreneurs who've made that shift from being an employee, so working for somebody else, to being an entrepreneur, being their own boss. And today's guest is a very special lady called Julie Plumb. Julie is the founder and owner of Plumb Digital, a full-service digital agency specializing in digital, in websites and social media. In 2020, Julie was named one of the top 40 digital women to watch, and she also happens to be my sister-in-law. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Julie into the studio. Here we go.
Hiya.
Hi, welcome, Julie. Thanks for saying you'd agree to be my guinea pig, my very first guest. So let's kick off. Tell me a bit about that career you had before you set up Plumb Digital and the journey you went on to get there.
Well, I guess people talk about serial entrepreneurs, and I think I was probably a serial career girl because I spent 30 years working in the corporate world in loads and loads of different jobs, doing technical things and then managing teams. And I had a redundancy about the same time as I was pregnant with my little girl. And it was just a bit of a light bulb moment, really. I didn't really want to go back to the corporate world because it just wasn't going to fit with what my lifestyle was going to be. So I kind of took the leap.
Okay, and tell me, so you've got a bit about that, why it was like the lifestyle that you wanted to do. How did you actually go from, you had that mindset, you've
Oh,
always been employed, to now becoming your own boss and doing everything yourself?
that's actually a really tricky thing because if you've spent a long time working in, like that corporate type world or higher education or wherever you're working, you're kind of in a network that doesn't necessarily tell you what to do every day, but there's guidance and there's structure. When you move out into working for yourself, it can seem really different. And I won't pretend it's not easy because you go out there and you've got to find clients, you've got to find customers, you've got to find your own structure, and you've got to find your own support network. But I love digital stuff, and it sounds a bit geeky, I know, because I am an old geek, but I just love the digital stuff. So for me, I'm doing what I love doing, and I think that helps with the transition, that it's something you love doing.
Great. And so before I go on, if you do have any questions for Julie, really tricky ones, she likes the best, she said, just drop them in the comments below and we'll come to them at the end of the call, okay? So next question, or first proper question, I guess. Describe your typical working day at Plumb Digital.
Oh, I think that's the typical, the word. There isn't a typical day, and that's one of the reasons that I like doing this. It's like yesterday, probably a good example is I did some social media reporting for one client. I had a client call. I did the second set of some website templates for another client, and I did some Facebook ads, and then did a discovery call with another potential client. So it kind of varies. Whereas another day, I might spend a day working on web designs all day. Or if the afternoon's nice, I might go and do some work in the garden instead.
Nice. So that leads me on to the next question, actually. What is, in your opinion, the best bit about being an entrepreneur?
It's that flexibility. And that's one of the things I really wanted to get out of running my own business, is that I don't have to do a 9 to 5. If I want to do a 2 to 10 or a 9 to 3 or whatever I want to do, is I can flex that when I need to. And
Mhm.
like I speak to a lot of women now who run their own businesses, and a lot of it is based around lifestyle. And it's not lifestyle in that you just want to earn a bit of pocket money, it's that you want your work to fit to your life.
Mhm.
So for me, it's that. And I think I've gone a bit feral now. I don't really like having a boss.
Yeah.
I like to be my own boss, and I don't think I could ever go back to high heels and suits again.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I
Fantastic.
like wearing rocket dogs to go to meetings, whereas I couldn't do
Nice.
that before.
You need to explain to everybody what rocket dogs
Oh,
are.
like little trainers,
Yeah.
funky trainers.
Fantastic. And there is no light without dark. And so I'd love to hear from you what your biggest challenge is, either now or has been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur.
I I am not a natural salesperson.
Hmm.
And when you work for somebody else's business, unless you're in sales, you don't really have to do any sales. I mean, I worked in companies and people would come to my department to get their website built. I didn't have to go and find people. And I know for the first, I was going to say 6 months, but probably the first year, that's been the hardest thing that I found, because I don't, I mean, you might not believe this, Helen, but I don't really like talking about myself in that kind of way. In that I'm not very good at selling myself. I'm brilliant at selling other people. So if you need me to write copy for a website to sell your business, yeah, I can do that. But when it comes to doing it for me, I find that really hard. So going out and finding clients was
Hmm.
tricky, and finding a way that worked for me
Yeah.
was a big challenge.
Yeah. I think that is a typical challenge with entrepreneurs, especially if you've moved from that employee mindset to an entrepreneur. You go from a specialist in something specific, that and the work is sort of, like you say, brought to you, and you can just concentrate on doing the work. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you have to go find that work, and then when you find it, then do the work as well. So it's another side of things that you don't ever have to do when you're an employee.
Yeah,
Fan-
and I don't like sales. I like going and chatting to people. I'm fine
yeah,
with that. And I find that building a reputation can take a little while, because you've got a reputation when you're working for somebody else,
yeah,
and you have to rebuild it when you kind of move out of that.
mm, yeah. Okay, then. So here is a bit of, if somebody was thinking about making that switch, or they're really early on in their entrepreneurial journey, what's the one piece of advice that maybe you wish that you were given, or that you were given when you were first starting out as an entrepreneur?
Well, I wasn't given this bit of advice immediately, but I was given it quite early on. I completely ignored it stupidly. It's that don't think you can do everything yourself, because you're setting up your own business and you suddenly have that title of like entrepreneur. You kind of feel like it's your baby, you've got to do everything. But do you know what? You're not the expert at everything. Somebody
Mm,
else says. And somebody had said to me, in the context of outsource before you need to outsource. And in the same way that you couldn't really do your own accounts once they get complicated, you bring an accountant in. You've got to bring people in for all those different things, because you will burn yourself out and spend a long time trying to do something that somebody else can do just like that.
mm,
And then you can concentrate on what you're good at.
yeah. I know that. I know that
We
feeling,
all do
definitely.
it.
Losing days in things, then and then you give it to somebody else, and they're like, "Is this what you were thinking?" You're like,
Yeah, and they've
"Done."
done it just like that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely get that. And so the final of these types of questions right now, I'm going to ask you, and this has to be good, just so you know. This is the thing that I'm going to put like into a meme with your face on, or it needs to be like something that you're willing to put on your headstone when you die. this is what I want from you is your golden nugget of wisdom. So whatever it is, it's a quote, a tip, something like that. What is the one thing that people need to know that you would die before you need to tell them before you die, I guess?
Well, it follows on from what I was just saying about not being able to do it all yourself. It's finding your support network,
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's a very lonely business when you're setting up your own business. So you've got to find your tribe, and that can be whether it's a peer support group, a networking group, or a coach. Because when you're working for yourself, you very often need somebody to hold you accountable, or to ask the difficult questions that you really know yourself, but you just don't want to ask them,
Mm-hmm.
or just kind of be a sounding board. I found that I'd struggled not having a sounding board. So I think it's finding that peer support group that you can be part of.
Okay,
So that's a
lovely.
golden nugget.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Or
I think
a golden waffle.
I think the thing is that one of the things that I missed most when I moved from working with, in a big office to working on myself was the just like the missing of people as well. Just having people around who weren't clients, who you could just talk about, what telly rubbish you'd watched or
When you're getting a
what was going
coffee.
on. Yeah, exactly. All of those things I really missed. And I think finding good networking groups for that is such an important thing to stop you from going insane,
And
basically.
it's really bizarre, because I felt like it was, you've got to kiss a lot of networking frogs until you find the right
Yes.
one.
Yeah,
And I went to
definitely.
a lot of awful network, like speed networking. I mean, who the devil thought of speed networking?
Sounds
And
amazing.
I found that there's lots of different things in your own areas. Like I went to the NatWest Entrepreneur Accelerator program, and that's full of people who are starting up their own businesses, like at an early stage or quite a way on. And you started to get some of those, what they call water cooler conversations, where you just chat to people. And I just found that really, really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great nugget of wisdom. You'll be seeing that very with your face, little cat maybe memed,
Oh, can I have
somewhere.
dogs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can have dogs. We'll have a picture of Matilda maybe. Okay. So thank you very much for that. So before we close, I'm just checking, see if we've got any question. We haven't got questions, but we do have a comments, and they love that about the kissing the network frogs. They love that. Actually, maybe that could be the meme.
That
I
could
think
be my golden nugget.
Susan's just given us our meme, I think.
If you go onto Swansea Bay TV, I think I'm saying it on their page as
Oh, are
well
you?
from about a year ago.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I think that. So before we close today, I just want to give you the opportunity for a shameless plug of Plumb Digital. Tell me what you can do for people who need that expertise that you have, that you can help entrepreneurs with.
Well, as you know, I've already said I hate sales, so I'm really
Yes.
rubbish at sales. But one of the things being on the NatWest taught me was you always have a 60-second pitch available that tells people about what you do. Because I found when I first started, I used to go, well, I kind of do like digital stuff. But what I do is I take an holistic approach to digital, which means I look at websites, social media, ads, and I can help with all of those. Because very often you find if somebody says they want to do some Facebook ads, their website isn't up to it. So we look at the website as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it in a range that fits most budgets. So I can build you a website, or I can teach you how to build a website. I can do your Facebook ads, or I can teach you to do them. So I have a digital coaching program where I can teach you how to do things, and you go away and do them, then we come back and review them. So I think, I can help with anything digital.
Fantastic. Thank you very much,
You're
Julie. And
welcome.
thanks so much for being my special guest today. And yeah, so next week, I am going to be speaking to another person who's made that switch from employee to entrepreneur. And her name is Sally. And we'll be doing the same thing here, same time. So bring your sarnie, bring bring a cup of coffee, whatever it is you're doing, but come and join us to find out more about people who've made that switch from employee to entrepreneur. Thank you very much for joining us. See you again soon. Bye.